Hartman. This is my week 4 presentation video assignment. For this assignment, I chose to focus on geocentric staffing in global organizations. This week we talked about the 4 approaches to staffing internationally, and the geocentric approach stood out to me because it's all about talent. So for our agenda, we're going to talk about what geocentric staffing actually is. We're going to describe and define it. We're going to talk about benefits of utilizing the approach. We're going to talk about challenges related to the geocentric staffing approach, and then we're going to have an evaluation of the benefits versus the challenges, and we're going to end it all with a recap and summary. So for the description, the most important thing to understand whenever we're trying to define geocentric staffing is that it focuses on talent. It doesn't focus on location, origin, nationality, anything like that. It focuses on talent. And this leads to a highly qualified group of individuals working for an organization to reach a common goal. And in my opinion, that's probably like the most important part of whenever it comes to international staffing. The most important part is bringing qualified people together so that they can work for the organization and help it meet its goals. So basically, as I mentioned, geocentric staffing prioritizes selecting the most qualified talent worldwide, regardless of nationality. It focuses on hiring employees based on skill, experience, and potential, not origin. It also integrates a global perspective into human resource management across all subsidiaries. It also combines elements of ethnocentric, which has a home country focus, and polycentric, which has a host country focus. It combines these 2 approaches, and that's 2 of the other approaches that we talked about this week, but it combines them and kind of makes its own focus. Some of the kind of things that it supports and encourages is that it supports long-term strategic goals and creates consistency in multinational operations. It also encourages global collaboration by leveraging diverse perspectives and expertise. When highly qualified and talented people come from worldwide, you're going to get people from different walks of life. You're going to get people from different cultures with different experiences, and this leads to a more diverse workforce, which is important and kind of allows the organization to get different perspectives and use different expertise and different opinions and values and lets them leverage them based on if a country or if an organization was just focusing on individuals from one home country or something like that. Basically what I'm saying is that geocentric staffing leverages diversity because it has so many people from different walks of life. Some benefits of the geocentric approach to staffing. It provides access to highly qualified global talent. It also facilitates knowledge sharing and adoption best practices across subsidiaries. It also reduces nationalistic bias in staffing and ensures fair evaluation. If an organization isn't worried about where you're from, you're going to get an equal chance at showing them your talent, which ensures fair evaluation. It also strengthens a unified but diverse corporate culture that aligns employees with company values. As I mentioned, diversity is a huge part of the geocentric approach to staffing and a huge benefit to using the approach. It also supports international mobility, leadership development, and succession planning. Lastly, it helps organizations anticipate and respond to global business change proactively. And for me, as I mentioned earlier, the most important benefit, or some of the most important benefits, kind of just to sum this up, would be the access to talent, having the most qualified and most talented individuals. That's going to help an organization, no question. And then also having a diverse culture, that also helps the organization. Some challenges that are related to geocentric staffing. It is costly because people are coming from international areas. So it is costly and it is complex as far as relocating individuals and compensating them fairly. Compensation, there's a lot of different expectations whenever you have people from different places. So kind of equaling that and making that fair, but also like relocating everyone, it's costly. And that's probably one of the biggest challenges, is how costly it can be for organizations. Another complex challenge is the legal aspect of it, the legal, tax, and compliance requirements across countries. This kind of would complicate and make the HR department have to be more complex, because there's going to be so many compliance requirements that they have to comply with. Next is going to be resistant from local managers or employees and potential cultural misunderstandings. The big part of this is cultural misunderstandings, because you have people that are so diverse and so different from each other. There's going to be misunderstandings. But I think the most important part of that is having a company culture that kind of recognizes inclusion and appreciates that, and patience and learning, and just open-mindedness, really, to understand that the people that you're working with, they have different visions than you have. They have different experiences. So I think the cultural misunderstandings, it would be a challenge, but I think it would be an easy challenge to overcome if the organization kind of sets the tone for what the expectations are. Another challenge would be that the selection process would be super time consuming. The onboarding and training processes would also be like super complex and super time consuming as well. It's kind of a lot to think about, like getting all of these different people who are so talented on like one onboarding process. Like, I just imagine like my last onboarding process, like it was so complex, and it was with people that were basically in the same age as me, from the same area as me, and it was really complex. So I couldn't imagine like the onboarding process for people that are just on different sides of the world. That's really complex, and again, it would be really hard for HR managers to kind of navigate this, but it is possible, and I think it would be highly rewarding after all the training processes and the onboarding and all of that is finished. The next challenge would be balancing global standardization with local responsiveness while maintaining consistent performance management. And now for an evaluation of the benefits versus the challenges. As I mentioned earlier, the access to global talent, unified corporate culture, cross-cultural competence, innovation, and the leadership development are some of the benefits. And some of the challenges include high cost, legal compliance and complexity, cultural resistance, and time-intensive processes, and balancing global versus local needs. The benefits often outweigh the challenges when organizations plan strategically, invest in robust HR systems, and emphasize ethical leadership. And this is kind of what I mentioned earlier. The planning for the hiring process, the onboarding process, the training process is that is going to have to be planned to a T. And really, what's super important and can get overlooked is actually finding these individuals that are super talented. Of course, there is a more equal way to see, or a more fair way to hire employees, because there's a level floor of what they're looking for, and that's talent. But whenever you're searching for talent internationally, that's a lot of people, that's a lot of experiences, and so just weeding through and seeing what employees would be best for your organization, that's definitely a challenge to look out for, and something that could be hard to overcome if you don't plan strategically. Also, another thing is the HR systems. They're going to have to be complex, and they're going to have to be utilized completely. But I do think the benefits could outweigh the challenges. For the biblical perspective, I want to talk about Proverbs 11:1, and it says, "The Lord detests dishonor scales, but accurate weights find favor with him. And this verse highlights the importance of fairness and integrity in selecting and managing global talent, reflecting godly principles and staffing practices. And this is just saying that I think I took it as like just because people are from other places or different walks of life or are not local to an area, they shouldn't be like just completely out of the hiring process or out of like the opportunity. And I think what I get from this verse is like if you utilize the geocentric staffing approach, then it's an accurate scale and weight for everyone. And so that highlights the importance of fairness, integrity. So yeah. And then for the recap and summary, as I mentioned several times, it just focuses on hiring based on talent. You can read through the benefits on your own and the challenges. We talked about that a lot. And the implementation, and when it's strategically implemented, how it can enhance global competitiveness. And lastly, biblical principles emphasize fairness, integrity, and ethical leadership in global staffing decisions. And I think that's one of the most important things for us to realize. It's not all about competition. It's also about staying true to biblical principles and applying them to organizational things and also things just within our lives. And here are my references. Thank you.